Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. My name is Sydney Kneller, and I am a consultant who is engaged with your corporation, LogiNet Corporation, to review implementation of automation technology to improve corporate efficiency based on the report that was delivered to your executive team last week. All right, so to get us started today, we do have a pretty packed agenda. We are going to review the background of our analysis, your challenge, as well as some of our constraints and assumptions that we posed, implications of your challenge, the need for change, our recommendation, benefits of automation technology, application recommendations, Microsoft Power Automate, our timetable, the implementation process, and then we will close out with some questions. All right, so some background of our analysis. First off, I wanted to hit on the purpose of this presentation and report. So the purpose of this is to provide your executive team an analysis of the inefficiencies and worker dissatisfaction that your corporation, LogiNet Corporation, is experiencing, as well as pose recommendations. While we were completing our research, we did keep in mind several objectives, which included to determine what are causing these inefficiencies and dissatisfaction, impacts of manual and repetitive tasks, benefits of automation technology, and then application and methods of implementation for automation technology. So the challenge that your corporation is facing that as a result of employees who are engaging in a set of manual and repetitive tasks, which is really occurring company-wide, our company found it is resulting in an inordinate amount of time being used to track cross-team impacts via individual email inboxes and ad hoc meetings, which are creating inefficiencies and worker dissatisfaction implications. We also kept in mind a few constraints while conducting our research. We did want to keep a low-cost budget in mind, as well as your size. The size of your corporation is medium to large size, so we wanted to ensure that any recommendations we made would be cognizant of that. Additionally, since there is not a point of contact at your company who is going to be solely dedicated to this coding, to a coding environment in our recommendations, we wanted to ensure that there was little to no code available for our solution. Finally, the assumption that we made is that the research collected from our sources were based on samples that are reflected in similar manners and phenomenon as your corporation. And due to the sheer number of sources we consulted, we are confident in that assumption. We have carefully crafted recommendations based on qualitative and quantitative research and literature from others in the industry who have experienced impacts from manual and repetitive workflow tasks. First, we focused on patterns and trends in the scholarly literature to determine the initial recommendation. Then, to narrow down specific applications, we analyzed the top industry models while also analyzing a fit that would be appropriate for your company. Finally, we analyzed ways of implementation for your business workflows. All right, and this slide is really going to outline the need for change based on this challenge. The first quote here states that 90% of employees are being burdened with boring and repetitive tasks, costing businesses 19 working days per year per employee on average. There is a lack of collaboration between departments, according to Ismail. So the first point here, when we think about it, there are 22,500 associates employed at your corporation. So if 90% of those associates are wasting 19 working days per year due to manual and repetitive tasks, that does total to 384,750 wasted workdays, which has serious cost implications. Secondly, here, repetitive tasks can pose a risk to both the mental and physical health of a person. It can also make them extremely demoralized, unhappy, and desperate to leave a company, which will result in recruitment costs and lost time as a new person is brought in. This is, not only causes impacts to the associates at an individual level, but also poses costs at a corporate-wide level. And then finally, boredom from repetitive and manual tasks can lead to lower reported quality of life, low job satisfaction, counterproductive work behaviors, absence, staff turnover, and more. Obviously, those are all huge implications that we want to avoid. All right, so our recommendation to combat this challenge is automation technology. So let me tell you why. Automation technology certainly poses many benefits, but I listed 3 here based on our research. About 70% of employees say the biggest opportunity for automation lies in reduced time wasted on repetitive work. Employers can address manual and repetitive work by implementing tools to automate and free up time for higher work value or higher value work. So really, that frees up the inefficiencies that are occurring in your corporation as one of the advantages for automation technology. When we're able to get some of this, repetitive and manual work off people's plates and get them focused on higher value work. Secondly, successful deployment of automation systems results in significant process cycle time reductions, cost reductions, improved accuracy, greater control, greater worker satisfaction, opportunities for direct work and measure performance, and higher levels of productivity. So again, huge implications there that directly goes against your challenge in the fact that it combats inefficiencies and also shows that it combats worker dissatisfaction. And then finally here, we have the fact that it provides the ability to process more information in less time with better results, creating increased levels of productivity, bottom line. All right, so we do have 3 recommendations posed to your corporation application-wise. So our first and most recommended solution here is going to be Microsoft Power Automate. This is the recommended solution due to the ease of adoption, ability to be adaptable and flexible, and no additional cost. The second is HubSpot. So this is one of the highest recommended solutions in the industry. However, it would pose cost to your corporation between $890 and $6,400 per month, just based on how many areas you want to implement that solution into. It also requires tracking code to be established if the website is not hosted directly through HubSpot, which will result in longer setup times for our team as well. And then finally, Nintex is our final recommendation. It is also one of the top recommended in the industry, however, requires $1,400 per month and a small code setup, which would result in longer setup times as well. So really, all of these applications would benefit the company by automating business workflows rather than having a person sit at their desk and manually complete these repetitive steps, ultimately building satisfaction, efficiency, and saves your company resources. All right, and since Microsoft Power Automate is our top recommendation, I did want to delve into these benefits a little more. So first and foremost, the first benefit I had mentioned in regards to Microsoft Power Automate is its ease of adoption. Like I said, there's little to no coding required for this platform, and it does have the ability to incorporate legacy systems, which is great. So, when we're adopting these systems, we're able to incorporate some of the legacy systems that your corporation already utilizes so that we're not reinventing the wheel. A second benefit here is that it's highly adaptable and flexible, which is really going to benefit your corporation sustainment-wise. So it would allow it to be sustainable and amended over time and applicable across many teams. Another huge benefit is that there's no additional cost. Since your corporation is already owning Microsoft 365 Suite, this is just one of those added tools that is being underutilized at this point in time. So we can start to use this to improve efficiencies and worker satisfaction in your corporation. One limitation that we did identify with Microsoft Power Automate is just the ability to break old working habits. When you have an associate who's been working at your corporation for a long time and is used to doing these manual and repetitive tasks day to day, it sometimes can be hard to break old working habits. However, we believe that the positive impacts here greatly outweigh any negative consequences, and that our associates will see that once they receive education around Microsoft Power Automate or whatever solution is selected. All right, moving on. We do have a timetable slated here. It would take 1 month for Microsoft Power Automate to be implemented and 2 months for HubSpot or Nintex. So this timetable currently reflects how long it would take for Microsoft Power Automate. If we did want to choose HubSpot or Nintex, we would just add an additional 4 weeks, and that would account for setup since it does not already exist in your company, as well as going through the finances and getting that set up as well. But because of the fact that Microsoft Power Automate already exists within your organization, it would take a month total to set that solution up. So we would work with your executive team further on the planning so we can drive direction from top down. However, we have a few recommended courses of action to provide here as well. All right, so the first week here is our consulting firm sets up the workflows for automation and testing. And then weeks 2 and 3 encompass our consulting firm socializing the workflows and application to the rest of the company and provide education for utilization of the tool. For this step, we would need assistance from a learning management system point of contact so that we could get those educational sessions scheduled within the system as well as socialized out. And then finally, in week 4, we would have continued sustainable education sessions on how to navigate through the application and work in different templates if associates would like to attend that. All educational sessions will be recorded in case employees are not able to attend on the specified dates and times, and then they can refer back to that at a later date and time that works for them. Additionally, we put together a FAQ document to address any recurring questions that we receive throughout the educational sessions. All right, moving on. All right, so the implementation process is that we would craft the workflows. So our consulting firm is looking at 2 workflows within these applications. One of those workflows would create an item in SharePoint when a new email arrives in the shared inbox. And the second would create a new task in Microsoft Planner when a Microsoft form is filled out. What this does is really, Microsoft Power Automate already has these templates created. Not that we couldn't create them in HubSpot and Nintex. It would just require some coding. But the first workflow would allow associates aligned to a shared inbox to track both internal and external client emails in a SharePoint list, assign owners an urgency, track updates to the thread, and update the status until closed in a centralized location. The second workflow will allow for internal teams to fill out a Microsoft form that will create a Microsoft Planner topic card, which would then reflect various topics across the teams to allow for a broad audience to track updates and progress on a given deliverable, assign owners, tag urgency statuses, and comment additional details, all again in a centralized location. So we would socialize these workflows out via comms. So we would partner with you, the executive team, to communicate the change from the top down via existing communication channels. And then as stated before, we would offer educational sessions via the learning management system that we would work with a point of contact from your team on, and then host sustainment sessions via the learning management system so that this solution can be sustained over time. Here I'm going to state that Microsoft Power Automate would be able to be sustainable easier over time since it does have pre-existing templates and would require a lower code experience. So really any associate could hop in and be able to create those automated business workflows. All right, so in closing, I just wanted to kind of recap what we went over today. Our challenge was the inefficiencies and worker dissatisfaction that your company is experiencing due to the set of manual and repetitive tasks being completed. Our recommendation was automation technology via applications such as Microsoft Power Automate, HubSpot, and Nintex, with Microsoft Power Automate being our first and foremost top recommendation. And then implementation is that there are no additional costs associated with Microsoft Power Automate. However, there would be with HubSpot and Nintex. It would take about 1 to 2 months, and we would create 2 automated workflows to socialize and educate out to your corporation. Finally, I did want to use this forum to open it up to questions. If there are not any questions right now, feel free to reach out to myself at the phone number and email address below. I want to thank you all so much for your time and for joining today. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.